Commander Vorath stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Sovereign, and watched Earth spin slowly in the darkness below. The blue planet looked peaceful from up here. Its oceans caught the light of its yellow sun. Its clouds moved in lazy patterns across green and brown continents. Billions of creatures lived down there, completely unaware that their world had just been surrounded. 12,000 warships hung in the void around Earth. They had arrived in perfect silence. Folding through hyperspace from the far edges of the galaxy, the Kathrani Dominion had sent its greatest armada to claim this little world. Vorath felt pride swell in his chest as he looked at the fleet on his tactical display. Each red dot represented death. Each vessel carried enough firepower to burn a continent. "Report," Vorath said. His voice was calm. He had done this many times before. "All ships in position, High Commander," his tactical officer replied. "The humans have detected nothing. Their primitive satellites cannot see through our stealth fields. They have no orbital defenses, no planetary shields, no weapons capable of reaching us." Vorath allowed himself a thin smile. The Kathrani had watched humanity for 300 years. They had observed these creatures crawl out of caves and learn to make fire. They had watched them build cities and tear them down in wars. They had seen them split the atom and reach their moon with laughable rockets. The Dominion had waited patiently for humanity to become useful. A species needed to reach a certain level of development before harvesting made sense. Too primitive, and they offered nothing but meat. Too advanced, and they became dangerous. Humans had reached the perfect point. Their population was large. Their infrastructure was developed. Their technology was just advanced enough to be repurposed for Kathrani use, and they had absolutely no idea what waited in their sky. "Open a channel to the planet," Vorath commanded. "All frequencies. Every device, let them see their new masters." The signal went out. Across Earth, every screen flickered. Every television, every phone, every computer suddenly showed the same image. The face of Commander Vorath appeared before billions of humans. His gray skin stretched over sharp bones. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence. His mouth opened to reveal teeth designed for tearing flesh. "People of Earth," Vorath began, speaking through a translator that converted his words into every human language simultaneously. "I am High Commander Vorath of the Kathrani Dominion. Your planet is now surrounded by 12,000 warships. Look up at your sky. See what has come for you." People everywhere stopped what they were doing. In New York, crowds gathered in Times Square, staring at the massive screens. In Tokyo, salarymen froze on crowded streets. In London, families pressed against windows. In Lagos, children pointed at the sky with trembling fingers. The ships revealed themselves. The stealth fields dropped for just a moment, and humanity saw its death written across the heavens. Massive vessels blotted out the stars. They stretched from horizon to horizon. A wall of metal and alien technology that made everything humans had ever built look like toys. Screams echoed through cities. People ran without knowing where to go. Some fell to their knees and prayed. Some stood frozen in shock, unable to process what they were seeing. Vorath continued his message. "You have one planetary rotation to surrender unconditionally. 24 of your hours. Your leaders will present themselves to us. Your military forces will stand down. Your population will comply with all instructions. If these terms are met, the transition will be peaceful. Many of you will live." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle over the planet. "If these terms are not met, we will demonstrate what happens to species that resist. We have done this 47 times before. Your world will be the 48th. Surrender is your only option." "The countdown begins now," the transmission ended. Across Earth, chaos erupted. Emergency sirens wailed in every major city. World leaders scrambled to reach secure bunkers. Military commanders screamed orders that everyone knew were useless. Fighter jets took off from aircraft carriers. And the pilots looked up at the alien fleet and understood they might as well be throwing rocks at a hurricane. The United Nations called an emergency session that dissolved into arguments within minutes. Some leaders wanted to surrender immediately. Others demanded resistance, even knowing it was hopeless. Religious authorities declared the end of days. Scientists scrambled to analyze the alien broadcast, searching for any weakness, any hope. There was none. The math was simple. 12,000 advanced warships against a planet that had never fought anyone beyond its own atmosphere. Humanity had impressive weapons by human standards. Nuclear missiles, laser systems, railguns in development. Against the Kathrani Armada, these weapons were less than useless. But in a bunker buried deep beneath the Swiss Alps, a different kind of meeting was taking place. The room was small and plain. No windows, no decorations, just concrete walls and a single large table surrounded by 20 people. They wore no uniforms and showed no insignia. They represented no single nation. The world above had never heard of this group. They called themselves the Vigil. General Maya Chen stood at the head of the table. She was 63 years old, with gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen things most humans could not imagine. She watched the same alien broadcast on a screen embedded in the wall. Her face showed no fear, no panic, no surprise at all. "Well," she said quietly, "they finally came." Around the table, the others nodded. Some checked tablets, showing data streams from classified satellites. Others reviewed files that had been prepared for this exact moment. 47 years of waiting, said Dr. Yusuf Okonkwo, a tall man with thick glasses and steady hands. 47 years since we found their crashed scout ship in Siberia. 47 years of preparation, and now they arrive exactly as our models predicted. General Chen walked to a secondary console built into the wall. She pressed her palm against a scanner. Her eye moved close to a retinal reader. She spoke a phrase in a language that was not from Earth. The console beeped. Deep beneath them, machines that had waited in darkness began to hum. "The Armada is in optimal position," another voice reported. "All 12,000 vessels are tagged and tracked. Shield frequencies logged. Command structure mapped. Everything is ready." Chen looked at the screen one more time. The alien commander's face was frozen mid-word, his four eyes full of contempt for the species he planned to harvest. "Contact the president," Chen said, "and the other leaders. Tell them to stall. Make the aliens think we're debating surrender. We need 6 more hours to bring all systems fully online." And then, someone asked. General Maya Chen turned away from the screen. For the first time, a small smile appeared on her face. "And then we show them what humanity has been building in the dark. Wake up, Prometheus. It's time to hunt." High above the planet, Commander Vorath waited for humanity's surrender. Counting down the hours until his easy victory, he had no idea that the silence from Earth was not fear. It was anticipation. The Kathrani had been watching Earth for 300 years. They had seen everything. Every war, every invention, every small step humanity took toward the stars. They believed they knew everything about the little blue planet and its primitive people. They were wrong. What the Kathrani never realized was that humanity had been watching them too. For 47 years, a secret organization had prepared for this exact moment. And now, as alien warships darkened Earth's sky, the preparation was about to reveal itself. General Maya Chen walked through corridors that did not exist on any map. The facility stretched for miles beneath the Swiss Alps. It's carved from solid rock and shielded by materials that no human should possess. Lights flickered on as she passed, revealing rooms filled with technology that looked nothing like anything on Earth's surface. Because it was not from Earth. In 1978, something fell from the sky over Siberia. Soviet military units reached the crash site first and found a vessel unlike anything they had ever seen. The craft was small, meant for scouting, and its pilot was dead. But the technology inside was intact, perfectly preserved. Waiting to give up its secrets, the Soviets tried to keep it hidden. They failed. Within months, an international coalition seized the wreckage through a combination of espionage, diplomacy, and threats. This coalition answered to no single government. It had no official name at first. Its members called it simply the Vigil, because their job was to watch and wait and prepare. For 47 years, the brightest minds from every nation worked in secret. They studied the alien vessel piece by piece. They decoded its computer systems. They learned to read the alien language. They reverse-engineered the propulsion system, the weapons, the shields. Every discovery led to more questions, and every question led to darker answers. The aliens would return. That much was certain. The Vigil found records in the scout ship's database. References to something called the Dominion. Lists of conquered worlds. Harvesting protocols. Humanity was on a list, marked for future collection like fruit waiting to ripen, so the Vigil began to build. General Chen entered a massive hangar carved from the mountain itself. The space was large enough to hold a football stadium. Inside sat rows of sleek vessels that combined alien curves with human angles. Fighters, interceptors, bombers. 340 ships, built in complete secrecy over 4 decades. It's beautiful, aren't they? Dr. Okonkwo appeared beside her, his tablet glowing with readouts. We didn't just copy their technology. We improved it. Human engineers looked at Kathrani designs and found inefficiencies the aliens never noticed. Our ships are faster, more agile, better armed. Jen nodded. She had flown one of these vessels herself during testing. The experience had changed her understanding of what was possible. These machines could dance between stars, but the ships were only part of Prometheus. They continued deeper into the facility. Passing laboratories where scientists monitored screens filled with alien symbols, one room held communication equipment capable of intercepting Kathrani transmissions. Another contained a neural mapping system that had spent decades studying alien brain patterns. The God frequency is ready, Dr. Okonkwo said quietly. We discovered it 12 years ago, buried in their medical databases, a harmonic wavelength that resonates with Kathrani neural tissue. It disrupts their synaptic processing, slows their thoughts to a crawl. Chen had read the reports. The Kathrani were fast thinkers. Their brains processed information 3 times quicker than human minds. In combat, this gave them an enormous advantage. They could react to threats before humans even recognized danger. The God frequency would take that advantage away. How long does the effect last? Chen asked. As long as we broadcast it. The disruption is continuous. They won't be able to think clearly until we stop transmitting. They reached the heart of Prometheus. A circular room filled with holographic displays showed Earth surrounded by red dots. Each dot was a Kathrani warship. Each one was tagged, tracked, and targeted. 12,000 ships, Chen murmured. The largest fleet they've ever assembled against a single world. They wanted to make an example of us, Okonkwo replied. They've watched humanity fight itself for centuries. They think we're violent, divided, and stupid. They expect us to fall apart in fear. Above them, the alien Armada waited. Commander Vorath had given humanity 24 hours to surrender. 16 hours had passed. World leaders made frantic public statements, begging for more time, arguing among themselves, playing the role of terrified primitives perfectly. The Kathrani did not suspect it. It was an act. Chen studied the tactical display. Hidden among space debris floated thousands of satellites that looked like junk but contained weapons systems adapted from Kathrani technology. Asteroid mining platforms that were actually missile batteries. Research stations on the moon that were military bases. Sleeper ships positioned at strategic points throughout the solar system. All of it invisible to Kathrani sensors. Because it was built using Kathrani technology, their own stealth systems hid humanity's weapons from them. They've been watching us for 300 years, Chen said, and in all that time, they never once considered that we might be watching back. Dr. Okonkwo pulled up another display. It showed the alien command structure, mapped through years of intercepted communications. They knew which ships carried admirals. They knew the chain of command. They knew exactly which vessels to target first. The Armada is in perfect position, Okonkwo reported. They've arranged themselves exactly where our models predicted. Concentrated formation. Maximum intimidation. Minimum defensive coverage. They're not expecting a fight, Chen observed. No, they're expecting surrender. They've done this 47 times. Every species before us either surrendered or was destroyed in days. They have no experience fighting a prepared enemy. A young officer approached with a message. The world leaders were asking for instructions. How much longer should they stall? Chen checked the system status. Prometheus was 92% online. The fighters were armed and ready. Pilots who had trained for years in secret simulators waited in underground bases across the globe. The satellite network was powered up. The God frequency transmitters were aimed at the alien fleet. 2 more hours, Chen decided. Tell the leaders to keep arguing. Let the aliens think we're falling apart. She looked at the display one final time. 12,000 red dots surrounded Earth like a noose. The Kethrani thought those dots represented unstoppable power. They had no idea those dots were targets. 47 species, Chen said quietly. 47 worlds harvested or enslaved. 47 civilizations that never got the chance to fight back. She turned to face her team. Men and women from every nation, united by a secret that had been kept for almost half a century. They had given their lives to this work. Some had died without ever seeing this day. Others had grown old, waiting for an enemy that might never come. Now that enemy hung in the sky, confident and cruel, counting down the hours until humanity's surrender. Let's make sure there's never a 48th, General Chen said. Bring all systems to full power. In 2 hours, we show the Dominion what humanity really is. Above Earth, Commander Vorath checked the countdown timer. 8 hours remained until the deadline. He had no idea that humanity had already locked target. The countdown reached its final hour. Commander Vorath stood on the bridge of the Eternal Sovereign, watching the last minutes slip away. Earth had spent 23 hours arguing. Their world leaders shouted at each other on every broadcast. Their military scrambled uselessly. Their people ran through streets in panic. It was exactly what Vorath expected. Primitive species always reacted the same way. Denial, then fear, then desperate bargaining, then collapse. Humanity was following the pattern perfectly. Prepare the harvesting protocols, Vorath commanded. The moment the deadline passes, we begin. Start with the coastal cities. Maximum visibility. Let the survivors see what happens to those who resist. His officers moved to obey. 300 years of observation had taught the Kethrani everything about human settlement patterns. They knew where the population centers were. They knew which resources were valuable. They knew exactly how to break humanity's spirit with surgical strikes. Vorath allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. This conquest would make him legendary among his people. 12,000 ships to claim a world. Overwhelming force, perfect execution. The humans would become another note in Dominion history, another species absorbed into the eternal machine of conquest. Then Earth responded. Every Kethrani ship received a transmission at the same moment. Vorath's tactical officer reported it with confusion in his voice. Hi, Commander. We're receiving a data packet from the planet's surface. It's using our own communication protocols. Impossible, Vorath said. Humans don't have access to our systems. The encryption matches perfectly, sir. The signal is using Kethrani military frequencies. Vorath's 4 eyes narrowed. Display it. The main view screen flickered. Instead of human leaders begging for mercy, the transmission showed technical diagrams. Kethrani, technical diagrams. Detailed schematics of their neural architecture. Complete analysis of their fleet formation. Shield frequencies for every ship in the Armada. Listed with perfect accuracy. A human voice spoke over the transmission. Female.com. Speaking perfect Kethrani through a translator that should not exist. TIE Commander Vorath. This is General Maya Chen of Earth. We received your ultimatum. We have prepared our response. A simple message appeared on screen, translated into Kethrani text. You should have knocked first. Alarms exploded across the bridge. Warning lights flashed red. Officers shouted reports that made no sense. Contacts appearing on all sensors. Where? Vorath demanded.
Wait, where, sir?
Thousands of them. They're emerging from asteroid fields, from debris clouds, from hidden positions on the lunar surface. Vorath stared at the tactical display in shock. Where there had been empty space moments ago, now there were targets. Thousands of targets. Ships, satellites, weapons, platforms. They appeared like ghosts, materializing from darkness. That's impossible, Vorath whispered. Our sensors would have detected any technology in this system. His tactical officer's voice trembled. Sir, these energy signatures, they're Kathrani. These vessels are using our own technology. The truth hit Vorath like a physical blow. The scout ship, the one that disappeared in this system 47 years ago, they never found the wreckage. They assumed it burned up in the atmosphere. The humans had found it instead. They had studied it, learned from it, built from it. And they had used Kathrani's stealth technology to hide their preparations from Kathrani's sensors. Before Vorath could issue any orders, something else happened. Something that would haunt Kathrani nightmares for generations. The sound started as a whisper, a harmonic tone that seemed to come from inside his own skull. It grew louder, stranger, more disorienting. Vorath tried to focus on the tactical display, but the numbers seemed to blur. He tried to form a command, but the words scattered before they reached his mouth. Around him, his officers clutched their heads. Some fell to their knees. Others stumbled against their consoles, unable to coordinate their movements. The God frequency had begun, deep within human command centers. Technicians broadcast the signal at full power. The frequency resonated with Kathrani neural tissue, disrupting the synaptic bonds that allowed their brains to process information quickly. In seconds, 3 million alien warriors went from thinking 3 times faster than humans to thinking 3 times slower. Vorath tried to understand what was happening. His thoughts moved like creatures trapped in mud. He saw human vessels on the tactical display, moving, attacking. But he could not process their movements quickly enough to respond. The human ships were beautiful and terrible. They combined Kathroni elegance with human aggression. Where alien designers valued efficiency, human engineers had added creativity. The vessels moved in patterns that Kathrani had never seen before, weaving and striking and vanishing before sluggish alien gunners could track them in the first 10 minutes. Humanity destroyed 400 Kathrani ships. Commander Vorath watched his fleet burn and could not make his brain work fast enough to stop it. Orders formed in his mind, but by the time he spoke them, the situation had already changed. His officers received commands and took seconds to process them. Seconds that might as well have been hours against human pilots, who had trained for this moment their entire lives. The human voice returned. General Chen, speaking with cold precision, your species has a weakness you never bothered to fix. Your brains are vulnerable to certain harmonic frequencies. We found this in the medical database of the ship we captured. We've had 47 years to weaponize it. Vorath tried to respond. His mouth moved. No words came. You watched us for 300 years, Chen continued. You saw us fight each other. You saw us nearly destroy ourselves with nuclear weapons. You saw our wars, our cruelty, our darkest moments. And you thought that made us weak? On the tactical display, more Kathrani ships died. The humans were targeting command vessels first, cutting the head off the snake. Admirals and generals who should have been coordinating the defense sat helpless on their bridges, unable to think clearly enough to save themselves. You never understood what you were seeing, Chen said. Every war taught us something. Every disaster made us stronger. Every time we fell, we got back up and built something better. You weren't watching a weak species destroy itself. You were watching a dangerous species practice. Vorath finally managed to speak, forcing words through a brain wrapped in fog. This changes nothing. The Dominion will send more ships, more fleets. You cannot defeat us all. We don't need to defeat you all, Chen replied. We just need to defeat you. Right here. Right now. The rest of the galaxy will hear what happened today. They'll know that Earth is not a world to be harvested. They'll know that humanity fights back. The transmission ended. Outside the viewports, the darkness of space filled with fire. Kathrani vessels exploded in silence. Their crews unable to react as human missiles found their targets. And Commander Vorath, the conqueror of 12 worlds, sat on his bridge and felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. The humans were not running. They were not surrendering. They were hunting. And for the first time in Kathrani history, the Dominion was the prey. The Battle of Earth lasted 9 hours. Captain Kofi Asante gripped the controls of his fighter and dove into the heart of the alien armada. His squadron, call sign Reaper, followed in perfect formation. They had trained for this moment in secret simulators for 15 years. Every pilot knew their role. Every ship moved with purpose. Reaper Squadron, target the destroyer on bearing 275, Asante commanded. Standard attack pattern. Hit them fast, hit them hard, get out before they can react. The Kathrani destroyer was massive. It stretched nearly a mile long, bristling with weapons that could turn a city to ash. Under normal circumstances, attacking such a vessel with fighters would be madness, but circumstances were not normal. The God frequency had reduced Kathrani reaction time to a crawl. Gunners who should have tracked and destroyed the human fighters in seconds now moved like they were underwater. Targeting systems that should have locked on instantly instead searched the void. While human pilots danced around them, Asante's squadron reached the destroyer in 12 seconds. They released their missiles and banked away in 3 more. The Kathrani point defense systems finally activated for seconds after that. Firing at empty space where the humans had already been, the missiles struck home. Explosions rippled across the destroyer's hull. Its shields flickered and died. Target disabled, Asante reported. Moving to next objective. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out thousands of times. Human pilots flew with a reckless joy that the Kathrani had never encountered. The aliens had conquered 47 species. They had faced resistance before, but nothing like this. Human combat doctrine was different from anything in the Dominion's experience. The Kathrani believed in overwhelming force, careful positioning, mathematical precision. Humans believed in chaos. They attacked from unexpected angles. They took risks that seemed insane. They turned the predictable math of space combat into something wild and unpredictable. And they were winning. In the command bunker beneath the Alps, General Chen watched the battle unfold on holographic displays. Blue dots swarmed around red ones. The enemy fleet that had seemed so terrifying hours ago now looked like a wounded animal surrounded by wolves. Casualty report, she requested. We've lost 47 fighters, her tactical officer replied. The Kathrani have lost over 3,000 vessels. Chen nodded. The exchange rate was better than their models had predicted. The God frequency was more effective than they had hoped. Kathrani commanders were unable to coordinate their defenses. Individual ships fought alone, cut off from the rigid hierarchy that normally guided Dominion operations. Focus on the command ships, Chen ordered. Take out their leadership. The rest will fall apart. Approached with a tablet showing communication intercepts. We're picking up transmissions from the Kathrani fleet. Some ships are trying to surrender. Others are attempting to flee to hyperspace. Block their retreat, Chen said. Our satellites can jam their fold drives. No one leaves until this is over. She had studied Kathrani psychology for decades. The Dominion believed in strength above all else. They respected power. They had no concept of mercy toward the weak. If humanity showed mercy now, the Kathrani would see it as weakness. They would return with more ships, more weapons, more determination. Earth had to make an example. One the Dominion would never forget. The battle continued. Human boarding craft attached to disabled Kathrani vessels and soldiers in powered armor fought through alien corridors. These troops had trained to fight in zero gravity and darkness, in the close quarters of starship interiors. They moved with efficient brutality, securing one deck at a time. Aboard the Eternal Sovereign, Commander Vorath watched his empire's greatest fleet burn. The fog in his mind made everything feel like a nightmare. He could see his tactical display showing ship after ship wink out of existence. He could hear his officers reporting defeat after defeat, but he could not make himself react quickly enough to change anything. The ship shuddered. Vorath felt the vibration through the deck plates. Somewhere below, human soldiers were cutting through his hull. "Seal the bridge," he ordered. His words came out slow and clumsy. His security officer tried to comply. Her fingers moved across the console like they were pushing through water. Before she could complete the command, the bridge doors exploded inward. Human soldiers poured through the breach. Their armor was a nightmare hybrid of Kathrani materials and human design. It made them look like metal demons, faceless and unstoppable. They moved fast, so fast, while Vorath and his officers struggled to even turn around. In seconds, it was over. Every Kathrani on the bridge was restrained. Vorath found himself pressed against the deck, his arms bound behind him. Looking up at the creatures he had planned to harvest, the main view screen activated. General Chun's face appeared, calm and composed. "Hi, Commander Vorath," she said. "On behalf of Earth, I accept your surrender." Vorath struggled against his bonds. He wanted to spit defiance. He wanted to promise revenge. But the fog still clouded his thoughts, and what emerged from his mouth was barely a whisper. "How did you do this?" Chen studied him for a moment. There was no hatred in her eyes, no joy at victory, just the cold satisfaction of a predator that had caught its prey. "You watched us for 300 years, she said. "You saw us fight each other. You saw us nearly destroy ourselves with wars and weapons and hatred. You saw all of that and thought we were weak. You thought we were primitive. You thought we would be easy." She leaned closer to the screen. "Never understood what you were seeing. Every war we fought taught us something new about combat. Every weapon we built taught us something new about destruction. Every time we nearly ended ourselves, we learned how to survive instead. You weren't watching a weak species stumble through history. You were watching a dangerous species practice." Vorath's 4 eyes blinked slowly. Understanding crept through the fog in his mind. 300 years of practice, Chen continued. "And 47 years of preparation since we found your scout ship? 47 years of studying your technology, your biology, your psychology. We knew you would come eventually. We knew exactly what you would bring, and we built something to stop you." Around the Eternal Sovereign, the last Kathrani resistance crumbled. Ships surrendered. Escape pods launched from crippled vessels. The Armada that had darkened Earth's sky was broken. "What happens now?" Vorath managed to ask. Chen's expression did not change. "Now, the galaxy learns what happened here. Now every species the Dominion has conquered hears about the world that fought back. Now the Kathrani learn that some planets are not worth the cost." She stood straight and spoke her final words to the defeated commander. "God, you came to harvest us. Instead, we're going to change everything." The screen went dark. Commander Vorath lay on the deck of his captured ship, surrounded by human soldiers, and understood that the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Earth. The world was different now. The sky that had once filled humanity with terror now filled them with wonder. People looked up at night and no longer saw distant, unreachable stars. They saw possibilities. They saw a universe waiting to be explored. General Maya Chen stood at a window in what had once been her secret bunker. The facility was no longer hidden. It had become the headquarters for Earth's new Galactic Relations Council. Representatives from every nation worked together in rooms that had once held humanity's most closely guarded secrets. Today, they would send a message that would change everything. The chamber was filled with world leaders, scientists, and military commanders. Screens showed the broadcast that was about to begin. Transmission arrays across the planet and throughout the solar system were aimed at distant stars. The signal would take years to reach some destinations, but it would reach them eventually. Dr. Okonkwo approached Chen with a tablet. "Everything is ready. The message will broadcast in all known galactic languages. Every species the Dominion has contacted will receive it." Chen nodded. She had spent months preparing this message. Every word had been chosen carefully. This was humanity's introduction to the galaxy, and first impressions mattered. Begin transmission, she ordered. The broadcast started with footage of the Battle of Earth. Images showed 12,000 alien warships surrounding the planet. They showed the alien commander's arrogant ultimatum. Then they showed humanity's response. Ships emerging from hidden positions. Missiles striking targets. Explosions lighting up the void. The greatest armada the Kathrani Dominion had ever assembled, broken in 9 hours by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The footage ended with a single image. Earth, small and blue and beautiful. Floating in the darkness that its people had just conquered, General Chen's voice accompanied the final segment. Translated into 100 alien languages. People of the galaxy, we are humanity. We come from the third planet of an unremarkable star in an unremarkable corner of this universe. Until recently, we did not know we were being watched. We did not know that empires existed among the stars. We did not know that our world was marked for conquest. Her voice remained calm, but there was steel beneath the words. 6 months ago, the Kathrani Dominion sent 12,000 warships to our world. They expected surrender. They expected fear. They expected to add humanity to their collection of harvested species. They were wrong. The broadcast shifted to show captured Kathrani vessels now orbiting Earth, thousands of prisoners being processed, technology being cataloged and studied. We do not seek conquest. We do not wish to dominate. Everything we have done, we did to protect our home. But let this message serve as a warning to any who would threaten Earth or its people. The screen showed humanity's shadow fleet in all its power. Ships that had been built in secret, hiding in the darkness for decades, waiting for this moment. We are not a species that surrenders. We are not a species that forgets. We have survived ice ages and plagues, world wars and weapons that could destroy ourselves. Every challenge has made us stronger. Every disaster has taught us to endure. Chen paused before delivering the messages. Most important part, to the Kathrani Dominion, we have demonstrated what happens. To those who threaten Earth, but we prefer peace. We are willing to negotiate. We are willing to establish fair relations based on mutual respect. Come to us as equals, and you will find us reasonable. Her voice hardened. Come to us as conquerors, and you will find us ready. The broadcast shifted one final time. Now it showed something different. Not weapons or warfare, but humanity itself. Children playing in parks, scientists working in laboratories, artists creating beauty, ordinary people living ordinary lives. To every other species receiving this message, we know the Dominion has conquered many of your worlds. We know you have been told that resistance is impossible. We are proof that this is a lie. Chen spoke directly to the oppressed peoples of the galaxy. Earth extends its hand in friendship to all who seek freedom. We cannot promise to save you. We cannot promise to fight your battles. But we can promise that you are not alone. If you choose to resist, if you choose to hope, know that somewhere in this galaxy there is a species that faced impossible odds and won. The message concluded with coordinates for Earth and instructions for peaceful contact. Then it was done. Transmission complete. In the chamber, silence held for a long moment. Then someone began to clap. Others joined. Soon the room filled with applause that carried not just celebration, but relief. Humanity had taken its first real step into the galaxy. Whatever came next, nothing would ever be the same. Dr. Okonkwo found Chen near the window. She was staring at the sky, her expression unreadable. The Dominion will respond eventually, he said. They won't accept this defeat quietly. I know, Chen replied. We've started something we can't stop. Humanity is part of the galactic community now, whether everyone is ready or not. Are you worried? Chen considered the question. Worried? No. Cautious? Yes. We just told an interstellar empire that we're not afraid of them. We told their conquered species that rebellion is possible. We changed the rules of a game that's been played the same way for thousands of years. She turned to face Okonkwo. But I'm not worried. You know why? Because we're human. Adapting to new situations is what we do. Every time history threw something impossible at us, we found a way through. This is just the next challenge. Outside, across the planet, people were watching the broadcast replay on their screens. They saw the fleet that had terrified them transformed into wreckage. They saw their world stand defiant against ancient powers. They saw themselves not as victims, but as victors, and across the galaxy. On 47 conquered worlds, other beings watched the same broadcast. They saw a species that looked strange and spoke in unknown tongues. But they understood the message perfectly. Resistance was possible. The Dominion could be beaten. Hope was not dead. In hidden places and occupied territories, rebels and freedom fighters whispered a new word to each other. A word that had meant nothing yesterday, but now meant everything. Human. The Kathrani. Dominion had ruled the galaxy through fear for 10,000 years. They had taught countless species that surrender was the only option. They had made themselves seem invincible. In 9 hours, humanity had shattered that illusion. Whatever came next, whether peace or war, alliance or conflict, one truth had been established beyond any doubt. Earth was not a world to be harvested. Humanity was not a species to be conquered, and the galaxy would never forget the day. 12,000 warships surrounded Earth, and Earth refused to kneel. General Chen looked up at the stars one final time. Somewhere out there, beings she would never meet were learning about humanity for the first time. Some would fear them. Some would hate them. Some would reach out in hope, but all of them would remember this day. All of them would know that in the darkest corner of the galaxy, a small blue world had changed everything. She smiled. The universe was watching. Humanity was ready.